Hello, I'm Jim Molloy Jr. In the fall of my sophomore year at SUNY Oswego, my history professor Geraldine Forbes gave my class an assignment. We students were directed to interview a loved one, preferably an aunt, uncle, or grandparent, and write a paper about it. I chose to interview my paternal grandfather, Charles A. Molloy Jr. I had already gotten to know him perhaps a little more than just a grandson. Just 2 years prior to the assignment, Grandpa and my dad and I drove to Gettysburg. That trip gave me time to talk to Grandpa, enjoy meals with him at restaurants and fast food places, obtain some knowledge of the Civil War and other historical events, watch him tirelessly, and I mean tirelessly, my dad remembers, view the displays at the museums, and just make memories. Grandpa cheerfully agreed with my request for an interview. I remember he was quite excited about it. So in September of 1999, I prepared myself with lots of questions, brought my pen and notebook, and tape recorded Grandpa's history and recollections. The interview ran long, over 3 hours and 45 minutes of tape, and the transcript I prepared for everyone 5 Christmases ago ran 26 pages. I had no idea at the time that in 2021 I would dust off the tape, digitize the recordings and hundreds of Grandpa and Grandma's family photos, convert Grandpa's Super 8 movies to digital images, and compile this documentary. Now, don't worry, I pared the interview to just under an hour and condensed and reordered Grandpa's comments. I hope you enjoy the movie, Grandpa Molloy's Story. I'm James P. Molloy. It is Saturday, September 11th, 1999. This is an interview with my grandfather, Charles Molloy. And this is for my assignment in my history class, World of History in the 20th Century. And I'm just going to start you off with some questions basically from the sheet. And I have some, some personal questions later, like from your childhood. But
got it, Jim.
Yeah. Well, anything, anything you can remember, basically. It's a very personal assignment too. Things that you can remember. But what was your birthday exactly? You were June
10th.
June 10th,
1918.
1918. And where were you born? You were born in Syracuse.
In New York City.
In New York City. Okay.
We lived in Oyster Bay, Long Island at that time.
Lived in Oyster Bay.
Dad was he's a non-commissioned officer in the United States Army.
Okay. This was your father?
That's your great-grandfather.
Great-grandfather?
Also Charles.
Also Charles?
I'm Charles Andrew Molloy.
Charles Andrew. Charles.
That's me.
Your father was Charles? Anthony Molloy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And your mother's name was?
Elizabeth Anderson. That's Andersen. That's the Danish spelling.
Anderson.
Molloy.
Okay. And
the Danish spelling En, not O-N.
En. Okay. That's the Danish spelling. Yeah. And your where was your grandfather from originally? Was he an immigrant to the United States? Your father, with your parents.
He was born here.
Born here?
Mm-hmm.
And your grandmother, or your mother was...
she was born in Denmark.
Born in Denmark, okay. And my dad said yesterday that you lived in Denmark after you were born here?
Yes.
For the first 7 years of your life?
We made a visit to Denmark. We stayed traveled throughout Denmark. We stayed 4 years.
4 years? What do you remember from Denmark when you were overseas when you were younger? Do you remember much at all? Do you remember speaking your foreign language, the first language you learned? Remember anything specifically? I know you were very, very young, but I've always been kind of curious about that.
Oh, I remember my grandmother and grandfather in the garden. My grandfather always had a vegetable garden, cabbage, potatoes, and I'd have a little garden. My grandmother had flowers, beautiful flowers. I remember in their house, little red brick house, like a Hans Christian Andersen house.
Yeah, that's the one in the picture there?
Yeah, little red brick house. It is set way back from the road with a gravel path up to the road and a garden on each side of the path. Fence in front.
You play out there?
Big swing. Yeah, I had a big swing, and it was a real nice environment.
Why did you go over there? Why did you come back? Why?
You
just kind of travel with your parents? Or just,
my mother wanted to visit her parents, and it was a big family. And we traveled through Randers, Silkeborg, a lot of Danish towns, and visited with all of the they're family people, and we visited with all of them. And my uncle had 3 uncles. One had a bakery, Danish pastry. Remember that?
That's so sweet.
Uncle Johannes. And Uncle Sophus had a cork factory. Remember bark? They're made out of bark. Remember the big vats with chunks of tree bark soaking in them? And all his machines, all of the belts, overhead belts running. And he made me a little gun to shoot corks. And brought that back with me. I don't know where it went. I wish I had it today. Shoot corks. I think I still have some of the corks around. And another uncle, Severinus, he had a leather store. Horses, bridles, hardware for horses. And leather goods, wallets, pocketbooks, every leather, all leather. And we visited all of them. Had a real nice time. Of course,
You came back to live in America, basically, to pursue the American dream, or basically it, kind of thing, or is it just you liked it here? You have your relatives back here too?
Yeah. Came back to enjoy the American life. Yeah.
I was wondering about how. My dad also said you spoke Danish until you had your fluent until you came back to the United States.
Yeah,
You don't remember the language too well? You've forgotten most of it?
English, just about completely.
Yeah.
And when I came back.
How old were you when you came back? You were 4 or were you?
No, I was.
You were 7?
7. And I had to start from scratch.
Yeah.
But I picked up English very quickly.
Okay.
Actually, but I'm still looking for some Danish words to bridge the language gap there.
Yeah.
So it was a little while before vocabulary completely embraced English.
How do you think? How do you remember how long it took you to get English completely down so you could speak it fluently? Did it take you like 2 months?
For school.
Or a few years? Or?
It took, when I got to school, it took a couple of years.
A couple of years before they had to down.
And actually, it was difficult because I found I was always catching up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I was always behind.
Yeah, in the language.
While I was getting yesterday, they were next week. You know, so it was.
So it took you a little while to catch up.
It was a couple of years.
Do you remember your first years of school very well? Do you remember?
Yeah.
I mean, you went. What was your school when you first started? The name of your high school?
Coming back here, St. Patrick's.
St. Patrick's
Appropriate School.
Okay.
And we hear a lot about class size.
Yeah.
Today, in the third grade, we had 73.
And that was your total class?
73 kids in the third grade.
Huh. Wow, right in the third grade? Okay, yeah.
The fourth grade, there was a change, and there was something like 54 kids in the fourth grade. And that continued on up through, I don't think there's ever a class less than 50 kids. Which, and you know, we learned, notwithstanding a crowded classroom.
Yeah, just in one classroom, huh?
The classes weren't, when you compare today, classes weren't disrupted with several things going on at once. If it was arithmetic, math, the concentration was on that subject with no interruptions. With people that didn't want to play the game or wanted to wear bizarre clothing and do a lot of nonsense. There was discipline. And
were the teachers good?
The nuns were
nuns
very, very good. There were two lay teachers in English, grammar, and
so you had separate nuns for each subject, or did you most of them?
No.
They taught all the
one class, and one nun did the whole class.
Taught out arithmetic, English, everything.
Right. Geography and arithmetic in the morning, history and civics in the afternoon.
Did you have fun in your when you started out, or I mean, do you have fond memories when you, based on what you know of how school runs today? What would you say the major differences are? Just from what you experienced, what your school was, and what you thought was the norm back then.
The norm back then was respect for the teacher, respect for the class. Of course, it was a parochial school, but there's respect for the flag, pledge allegiance, and of course the Ten Commandments and religion. We had religion.
Yeah.
Once a week. I recall usually like on a Friday for religious instruction, a priest would come in and
you talk to your class.
Talk on a given subject, the Eucharist or the Trinity, or some of the mysteries of faith, and have a question and
answer
period, and he had the answers.
And you find it very helpful to talk to the priest. Very interesting.
Very interesting. Very interesting. As you could, as things occurred to you, you could ask.
What is the greatest tragedy, do you think?
You mean personal? Your great-grandfather passed away very suddenly, which sometimes can be a blessing.
Yeah.
I was going to Chicago and the next morning, the Sunday night. And I always call him before I left. He
And they said he had a stroke.
Yeah, he said,
before he hit the ground.
be sure and call me when you get back. But he mentioned it at least twice. Be sure and call me when you get back. And, I often wondered, did he know that he was the one that was going? And shortly after I hung up, your great-grandma called me and said that your father's on the floor and he's fainted. I thought, that sounds funny.
Yeah.
I went over and he passed away. So that
always wish I could have.
your dad remembers him. And
what do you remember about fondest memories? Yeah. And things you like to do together.
Going to ball games.
Baseball.
And,
I thought that might be.
Teaching me how to throw a curve, how to hold the ball, how to grip the ball, and playing catch for me. And, those are
little things like that.
Those are fun.
Really,
fun things. And I was never really that great because I never made the
baseball
first team. Never. I just there's a lot of competition, and you the guy that's better gets in. I could have. I'm sure I could have done better, but probably just a nervousness, but that's kind of a disappointment. Because I love baseball, but never got a chance. I never got in again. I was a junior and never got in. I never played. I was on the team. Never used me.
Yeah.
To warm up and everything.
Well,
on the team.
What was Great Grandpa like? What was his job? What did he do? What was his personality?
He was a painting contractor.
Painting.
Interior, exterior. Ran his own business and.
His job all through the Depression and everything. Yeah.
Well, he was
worked hard.
ill a lot. He had a lot of physical problems.
What did he look like? Did he look like you? Look like my dad?
He looked like me, only he was just a slighter built, not as big, quite thin, shorter, not as tall. And,
how tall was he? About my height?
No.
6 feet?
No, he's 5'6", maybe.
Oh, so he was pretty short.
Yeah.
Huh.
He was a good baseball player. He loved baseball.
Yeah. Did he play?
Yeah. he just played just local teams.
But I wanted to talk to you, get all
Yeah.
this down on tape, so
Yeah.
hope you don't mind me asking
Oh,
questions.
no.
Well,
Gee,
you know, my
love to
grandfather.
talk to you.
Yeah,
You're
this
an
is
animal.
stuff I like to talk to you about, and it's too bad we don't get a chance to chat more.
The older men would come and get him, when he was younger, to come and caught. He was a catcher.
Catcher?
Without a mask.
Oh, jeez.
He got hit here.
Oh,
Right
his nose.
right here. And once. And,
Fastball.
two big eyes. But ball tip, boom, boom.
Those masks, they're good.
He loved baseball, and
You were an only child, right? So
yeah, no brothers, no sisters. Yeah,
How about your mother, your grandma?
she worked hard. She was
Housewife? She worked outside the house at all?
she cooked. She was a cook.
Very, very good cooker.
She studied under. They used to have a cook at the Waldorf in New York, Oscar of the Waldorf, and she studied cooking under him, and she studied cooking in France, French cooking, and she was a cook when she was younger, and prepared menus and just quite a little late, a little bitty late.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, what does she look like?
Well, I can't tell. I look like my dad. And, I think she looked probably like my grandmother Anderson, your great grandmother in Denmark.
Wow.
And she was a nice. They had a little brick home. Maybe like
You lived in Fairmount, right?
Yeah, here's their house. And that's my.
Oh, yeah, you got your pictures right here.
That's my Grandpa Anderson. My Grandma Anderson.
That's what she kind of looked like right there?
Yeah. Yeah. And this is their.
When approximately was that taken?
In the 1920s.
1920s?
Early 20s. There's their little house.
Brick house?
Little brick house, yeah.
Jeez.
We stayed
Are
with
you in
them.
here or this?
No.
No.
No, it's and my grandmother Anderson.
Looks like a good man.
Yeah. Yeah. That's before I went away. There's your grandma.
Huh.
Your great
grandma?
Yeah.
Oh, that's her there? Okay.
Yeah.
This is you over here?
Yeah.
Some articles?
Yeah.
Charles Molloy. Boy, look at you there. You're a young animal right there.
I'm an animal. Yeah. I remember in that student council election, there's we had an annex downtown.
Wow.
Almost 600 students downtown, and we had 2,200 in Blodgett Vocational, and I got all but 50 votes in the annex, and I got 1,800 votes in there. And there's a three-way election, and I got Yeah. Picked up a lot of votes there.
So you were a popular guy.
The assembly went over and shook hands. Remember it. It's been a great contest, and regardless of the results of the election today or tomorrow, I want to say that my friendship for Bob and Pete will be the same tomorrow as it is today. And then I went over and I shook hands. I was the lad. I shook hands. That was showmanship, you know.
It's always good to say that too when you know you're gonna win.
So, yeah, that is a lot of fun. We had a good time.
Hello, Grandma. Yeah. Well, I figured I would like you to, add any of your thoughts that you think, anything you might remember too. Where did you meet Grandma? Was that in high school or was that college?
In high school, yeah. On a blind date.
Blind date?
Yeah. Blind date.
Where did you go on the date?
And I think we went Jack Deal. We went, there's four of us. Jack Deal was staff announcer. You have to be staff announcer he was at WFBL years and years ago. And he went to WHCU in Ithaca for years and years and years. He was with WHCU. And he and other girl, Betty Hicks, nice girl, and your grandma. And myself, we went to the movies, and then we cornered a bat afterwards in the living room, up in the corner. Cornered a bat. It was right up in the corner of the ceiling. Shoom! We got the bat, trapped him, and well, that was.
When did you meet her? How old were you?
Oh, let's see. 18, I guess. She went to Fayetteville High School, and so there's quite a while. Went out to a party. I was invited to the house for a party, and then we began to date more. And at that time, you could on a date, movies, 25 cents.
That's not too bad. It's 25 cents an hour. You're making
downtown. First one. Lowe's, RKO East. They had the Echo at the Strand, Paramount. And then drive out to High Heights is very popular. Hot dog was 10 cents. And chocolate milk, 6 cents. 6 cents a bottle. And gasoline was 17 cents a gallon. So for $1.
Oh, God, heck of a date.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh, a date like that today, it cost $50.
That was...
My dad worked like crazy to raise 6 kids. He had that huge garden. Get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, clean up his garden, work on until it's time for him to go to work. And then later on, when we didn't have money and everybody was sick and we had so many doctor bills, he'd get up in the morning and make a big batch of bread and we would sell it to the doctors to pay our bills. To pay the doctor bills. That was Grandpa Cummins.
Grandpa Cummins.
Because nobody had life insurance. I mean, there was no such thing as health insurance.
Mm-hmm.
And Dad's, what did he tell us once? It was an enormous amount of money every year. That was enormous in those days. They wouldn't think so now.
Yeah.
But that's how they paid their doctor bill. My mom would bake the bread after he went to work, and she made cinnamon rolls, and And we take it to the doctor that we owed money to, and that's where we paid his bills.
And it makes you appreciate what we have now.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Because there was no health insurance. You got sick.
Yeah.
And like Chuck, when we first were married, remember he didn't have any medical insurance, and if he worked nights,
Mm-hmm.
and if he was 5 minutes late to work, they took his bonus away from him.
When were you married? What year?
Oh, 1941.
November 7th.
1 month before Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, 1 month.
Exactly.
1 month.
Yeah.
1
Pearl
month
Harbor
before
was December
Pearl
7th, November 7th.
Brings us up to World War II.
Yeah.
And of course, in the meantime, you had the people turn to Franklin Roosevelt. All that. Then we get through World War II, and that brings us into the Truman administration. It was a big relief to get Truman.
Your Aunt Annie was a nurse then,
Yeah.
in World War II.
Yeah.
She was in England at the time of the Blitzkrieg. When the Germans were bombing London and stuff.
It was the buzz bomb. It wasn't.
Oh,
Blitzkrieg was on the continent.
Yeah.
Blitzkrieg is on France. That was the buzz bomb.
that's when they were bombing London and
Yeah.
all. She was over there then. She was an army nurse.
Yeah. So 39, 40, 41 from there.
She was over there in 43
Yeah, I guess so.
because she was there when Billy was born. She was born in no, she was home by then. She was there when Chucky was born.
Yeah.
And she'd been there since she was there 43 and 44. D-Day was in 44, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, we
Again.
didn't go to war, did we, till after Pearl Harbor?
No.
Technically?
No.
I mean, technically.
Yeah.
That was the trigger. That was the
Right.
catalyst to propel us into war in Europe.
Mhm.
I don't believe that I would have permitted the United States to enter World War II.
Yeah.
And there was Rosie the Riverdale.
That's right, Rosie the Riveter. You know, they have posters at college. They have a Rosie the Riveter poster. It's kind of a cool thing, you know.
Yeah.
When were you at Oswego? Another question I had. What year was that?
39 and 40. 39 and 40.
And you were only there for a year, so you didn't graduate.
No.
Did you have major? What was your major?
Industrial arts, materials of industry.
You want to remember, Jim,
And,
that when he graduated from high school, they were equipped through their educational departments to do the things that many kids have to go to a lot of schooling to do now in college.
Yeah.
Went
So he
to
had a pretty good education.
Dr.
then.
Mark. Hi, Bill.
Hey,
Let's
that's
tune
my
in.
uncle Bill Molloy coming in.
Let's tune in. You and I can go in the.
Oh,
down in
what are you
Tennessee.
working on?
I'm working on an interview with Griffin from my history class.
Jim holds me in high esteem, and you and I will finish up in the den.
Okay.
Well, you know, as I said, it was a kind of a relief to get Harry Truman.
Yeah. It must have seemed like Roosevelt was in office forever.
Yes, he was reelected 4 times, and a lot of questions surrounding that. Of course, in In 1944, the nation at war. You re-elect the man that was president. Thomas Dewey ran a good campaign, so that's good enough. Yeah, Rosie. Oh, she's out. She's out in the kitchen. We got treats. We get treats after we do this.
Okay.
Treats. And Mark and Missy brought me that plate from Gettysburg.
When did she go down?
She's, I think, a junior in high school. You and your dad and I had when you took me along with you. That was a nice trip.
Well, what do you remember from the 50s, 60s? Going back, catching up down out of them more modern day stuff that my dad remembers. Yeah,
60s.
And Carol and the family starting to.
There were busy times.
What do you remember from your work?
Lots of lots of great memories.
Mm-hmm.
Baseball, football. Your Uncle Chuck was all county center on the first team, and the company that I worked for expanded and acquired a lot of other companies and became conglomerate. And in 1966, I was asked to take a position at the corporate level.
Where did you work before 1966? Did you just work on
my office was as a manager. I was manager of wage and salary administration. Those are great years, or busy years, and I was asked to move the office to corporate, and there I became a director of corporate communications for SCM Corporation. And,
you're a good businessman. Dog.
Well, I think I just think you should have had some vice president someplace that you should be interviewing instead of me.
No. I'm going back to world events. Or my Uncle Bill, your son Bill, was in Vietnam.
Oh, yeah. I was...
That must have been...
yeah. He,
Vietnam, very controversial. Still anyway.
He was up at Syracuse U once. Vietnam was a very, very painful, horrendous thing to go through.
Yeah.
And you won't appreciate it unless you have a son, Jim.
Mm-hmm.
And the government has your son off in some God-forsaken place, and you don't know there are people over there that want to shoot him. You won't know. You won't appreciate the feeling that your Uncle Bill felt that he was wanted, he was needed. He's never talked very much about it either. He's gotten close a couple of times, but used to fly in the helicopter and go out and bring in our slain soldiers. Our troops have been shot, and I'm sure that some were partly blown away. He'd pick up the remains and bring them in. the big challenge is buying 4 acres of land and building our house. The freedom that came with it, the ability to plan and build your home,
Freedom.
not have it built.
Living in the free world. Actually getting your hands in on it.
Yeah. And building it, freezing to the roof, putting shingles on in the winter, freezing when I froze to the roof one night. At this time to quit, you know?
Yeah. So you think the greatest tragedy is the growing stranglehold of the federal government on
I think
people's lives and what it might do?
The growth, the taxation. Look at the taxes that your dad pays.
Yeah.
And your Uncle Chuck pays. Your Uncle Bill, the taxes. You're not permitted to have your own money. The great danger is that all the takers, they're sitting in the wagon, and they're not going to be enough to pull it. When you reach the point when there are not enough people to pull the wagon anymore, more people in the wagon than there's pulling, then people are going to say, "To heck with it."
Mm-hmm.
For a national emergency or constitution to set aside. And it can happen. And this is something that you have to pray. Prayer is a powerful, powerful instrument. Many people don't realize the power of prayer, but you have to pray and talk to God.
Yeah.
Because you see the bad guys winning every day. And without faith that God is in charge, when you see these bad guys winning, they win every day. You can lose your faith and your confidence. So you have to pray, and hopefully the American people wake up and turn this around.
Do you think your impressions are unique, or do they represent what most people experienced?
No, I think I think my views are probably a minority.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that
I think yours is unique. I mean, not many people have, lived overseas and for a certain amount of their life and come back over and had.
I think it was when I was younger, it was difficult in school. It was always playing catch up, and in high school, I had to go to night school, 7 to 9 o'clock, three nights a week, to take extra courses, and now math, advanced algebra, the Regents. I failed that twice. Finally, I passed it. But as extra itself, most people take an exam and they pass it. They may not get A's, but they pass it. So I don't know how unique that is.
I know you have a belief in hard work. My dad said, you walk to school every morning from your home and grandma work.
Well, there's no
hard to believe if people affirmative action and things like that.
there's no money. There's no money for a bus. I walked, and the first job was 25 cents an hour. That is good money.
Yeah,
25 cents an hour. Wow. And you walk home from school, walk back to night school. And, many nights I get home, my eyebrows would have ice on them in the winter, or the snow froze. Get home, but then it got so I had to buy tokens for the bus. Tokens are like 10 cents and 12 for $1 or something, and that was great. They used to have what they call the West Salve line. That would go up Milton Avenue to, where Salve, the end of Salve processors there.
Yeah.
Then it'd turn around. I get off there and walk from there to Fairmount. And that was a lot shorter. Shoot, hey.
That's
Man. Boy. Tokens.
Based on your experience, what do you think of the significant events? What is it going to affect the 21st century most?
I see more global, more an explosion in communication with computers. I see an explosion. I see fiber optics. I see an explosion in communications in the next century, building on what we have, like fiber optics.
Yeah.
You've got strand. You got a fiber optic is a glass strand. It's a conductor, glass, and it's as big as a diameter of your hair. Now that transmits a phenomenal amount of stuff on the same strand of hair, same strand of glass. I've seen an explosion of this. I think some is good and some is bad.
Do you think it'll be mostly good or mostly bad?
I think mostly good.
Mostly good. I kind of saw it as bringing people together.
Pluses and the pluses probably be a lot of adjustment.
Well, do you have an optimistic view for the future, the 21st century, or a pessimistic view? What do you think is going to become the world?
Well, I think that we've got to start at home.
Yeah.
And we've got to get our own house in order. And that may take some time. I think it'll happen. I think probably the greatest document ever written is the Constitution of the United States. And that's our building block. And from there, we can transmit that to people. One thing that people like is freedom, and that's what we have. And we've got something to offer in terms of our way of life. And I think in the long run that have to pray a lot. Long run, we'll be on track.
Yeah. Okay, I think we've touched on just about everything now. I had a page for extra notes if you wanted to add any extra stories or anything. after I don't know. I've a lot of the stuff, I wanted to know before about, when you were younger and stuff.
Yeah.
I got everything I want, but if you feel there's anything you want to get down and take, you want to add some
One of
extra
the highlights is your grandma,
Yeah.
Your Grandma Rosie, she has such a beautiful heart. And she loves everyone. She loves her grandchildren. And she's all through her married life, she's been such a tremendous source of help and encouragement and things that you can't buy. You can't buy them with money. If you have $10 million, you can't buy it. She gives so much. Whereas also, as far as a highlight, little Rosie would be one of the biggest highlights in my life.
Yeah.
My mother and dad, of course. But, so at a point, you leave your mother and dad and you start a new life. That's the way it has to be. Well, I hope it's been of some help to you.
This is excellent. I got too much here. This is too. Well, I'd like to shake your hand. Thank you for the interview. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
I want to tell you, Jim, I'm proud of you. And I'm proud
of you.
that I got a grandson like you. You're a great dog.
You're a great influence on my life, man. So proud of you.
You and your dad,
Well, that pretty much wraps it up. This is Jim Molloy saying good night, and thank you to Grandpa.
Thanks for watching my documentary, Grandpa Molloy's Story. Making this film, to use a really apt cliche, was a labor of love. It was just really enjoyable for me to examine the old photos, identify people and dates, and watch Grandpa's Super 8s. I know that we've all watched Grandpa's home movies and thought, slow down and leave people's heads on. But at least he did capture those images. And within those old films are wonderful usable frames and longer shots available forever. I'm very grateful to Grandpa for taking the time to take those movies and leaving this treasure. Though I couldn't include the entire 3 hours of interviews, we do have the transcript if you'd like to take another look at it. Just contact me through my email or phone. Also, for at least one of the stories, I didn't have corresponding photos or videos. Grandpa, for example, spoke of a Danish cousin named Arne Andersen having been captured and tortured by the Nazis. It was a fascinating story, but for one, I just didn't have any supplementary visuals. You may have also noticed the lack of pictures for the years 1928 to 1938. Those were Great Depression years, and there was very little money for cameras and pictures. Well, I really hope you enjoyed this trip down memory lane. Thanks again for watching.